I see that we have no old business. Moving right on into new business. I'm sorry. Oh, highlights. We need to approve the minutes. My bad. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from November 13th meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All right. Roll call. All right. Roll call. Oh. Everyone in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes. And like I said before, no old business. We'll move into new business. Our the budget amendment to increase legal notices line. I'll let Leslie speak on that.
Okay. Budget amendment to increase legal notice line in the commission department. This is where we have been paying for, like the tax sales or anything like that that's paying to the county as a whole. With the cost of legal ads, especially over the last 3 years, which we will address a little further into our meeting, we are running out of funds. So, we're going to present the commission with the approval of the finance committee with a budget amendment to, take funds from the county general and put it into the commission line legal ads in the amount of $3,000.
So we need to make a motion and second to take it to the full commission to get $3,000 out of general fund. I make that motion.
I'll second. Perfect. Everyone in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right.
Move that to the Thomas Free Press.
Yes, and I've got some information on that a little further down here.
All right. So the second one is budget amendment to increase the unemployment compensation and other public safety line. Leslie?
This one is just an automatic percentage, that is taken in our payroll system. And, this one is over, probably because of payroll increases or something like that. We just need to move money in there for the rest of the year to get it even out.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to move that motion. Second.
Very well. Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And third on our agenda, budget amendment to increase maintenance agreement line in county buildings budget.
Who is the second? I'm sorry.
That's Welch.
And, no, name.
No, no. That's my bad, yeah.
Okay, ready for number 2?
Yep, ready for number 3 when you are.
Okay, maintenance agreement to county buildings. This is no new money, but we've had some additional work to the elevators today, so we paid elevators, any kind of the fire inspections, all that those things out of this maintenance agreement line. We've had some extra work to the elevator this year, and so we've kind of ate that money up. So I want to move some money, from county buildings maintenance up to maintenance agreement. So just moving it within the same budget.
All right, any motions for this?
We're moving the motions to take it to the full commission.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Howard and everyone in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And number 4, our budget amendment increase to other charges line for the juvenile. I think there's something in our packet on this too.
Yes, you do have, for the other budget amendments, you just have more financial reports to look at to see those lines. This invoice is included, it's the one that I messaged you about that I was gonna have to add, later to the agenda, because it does need to be taken care of sooner rather than later. So there's a couple things that we need to discuss with this one. As you can see, this is just for the month of December, and I do not know a time frame or a schedule on how long we're gonna be paying this. So, you can see down at the bottom of it, it is $135 a day, 30 to 31 days per month. We're looking at over $4,000 a month cost, for this. So, once we decide, we're gonna take budget $29,295 to get us from December to June? Or do we want to do less and revisit it later, or see if there's some change?
I'd rather go ahead and just budget for it.
I would too.
That's what I would
Instead of
try to
making
budget.
budget amendments every month, because realistically,
It could be years.
we have to do it, so go ahead and budget.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, that's a motion. I'd say go ahead and do it until 6 months at a time. What do you think, Rick? 6 months at a time?
We have a motion and a second on the floor.
We need to make that for 7 months, just because
7 months.
December is where we started.
That's fine.
7 months, that was good.
Go ahead and do it. Well, I gotta do it, you gotta do it every month.
Sure, everyone in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passed.
That's a substantial amount, you know?
Yeah, and Sheridan is representing that group, so he may be able to tell us at a workshop how the case is progressing, and if he sees it going a long ways.
Yeah, that does.
Well, if it is something that's done earlier, and we don't have to pay it through June, it just filters right back out anyway, so, I mean, just because it's in there doesn't mean it has to be spent, but, you know, these things can go on, but, I mean, that is essential and something to think about, is that,
If it
you
does.
know, over $4,000 a month per inmate.
$4,000 per inmate. I mean, why is this so high? Does anybody?
I mean, what's the rate, do we know the rates, like,
$135.
Right.
Man, yeah, I think we shopped around.
so that's cheap, so that's fine.
Not every county has a JDC.
They don't have to take them either.
They don't have to have what, Andrew?
They don't have to take them, they can tell us.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
so Drake County Schools do it, so let's just stick with them.
Is it so expensive because of the juvenile?
Yes, they get more square footage, and they have to have a lot more resources there than a regular inmate does. You have to educate them, and, you know, because they're below the age of 18, and you
Okay.
have to have a school inside the facility.
It's gonna get hard on the commission though.
Yeah, my job, I mean, it has to be done. We got. Okay.
All right, moving on to number 5 on our agenda, recognize the Chattanooga Times Free Press as a publication.
Make a motion.
Second.
This DDA cost discussion.
Yeah, that's just gonna be informational, and I just felt like we don't necessarily have to have full commission approval or anything like that, but I like the idea of having it in the minutes of the finance committee, that we recognize the Chattanooga Times Free Press as a general circulation publication for Meigs County. I think it actually services the entire county, so, because it's a regional paper rather than a county paper. So the reason that we've even looked into that is because the significant increases in cost, I mean, more than tripling, from the DCA.
And less papers.
And less papers, and, you guys were privy to the information when we were doing the research, so a budget ad that never changes, you know, when I first started doing that ad in there, it was like $80. Well, you know, this year it was just under 500. And then the tax ad, last year's was 8,000 something, and there was 37 properties. So this year there were 20 properties, and the tax ad was 10,000 something. There's been,
Substantially adding more and more costs.
it is, yes, there was not a price increase for a little while, so I think it was probably 3 years ago that the first one came, and it was significant, and they explained, well, we haven't increased in a while. Understandable, but it has increased every year since then. Over $10,000 for a tax ad is significant, and it's a lot, and it's a lot of our citizens. And so, just kind of like the things, that, you know, whatever reason that they're needing to catch up on their taxes, now they're also having to pay an additional $500 to a newspaper ad. It's not fair to the citizens, so we need to try to take care of that. A lot of effort went in from the clerk and master's office, and the chancery to kind of figure out a better option. So we were able to find that the Chattanooga Free Times, or the Free Press, was general circulation, service the whole county, and the same ad with them, I think, was 5,000 something. So, I mean, half the cost. Still expensive, but it was half the cost. So So, they're gonna use that paper. We're gonna continue to use our website, Facebook. We will use that paper where we legally have to, and we will also post stuff around the county just to make sure we're doing due diligence for the citizens. There is a bill in front of the state right now to try to eliminate the need for it to be in a printed publication, especially for counties like ours. That is what that's about.
Yeah, fingers crossed on a bit. All right, I think we had a motion and a second on the floor, is that right?
Can we read motion by?
Howard and Welch. And then, everyone in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, moving on to the budget worksheet review, the signing part.
Okay, so obviously it is budget time. There's really not a time of the year that I'm not already working on the next year's budget. But according to the state schedule, budget worksheets are supposed to be out and back in by February, and we need to start on the process. We are so early in the process, I'm waiting on the state for a lot of numbers, we don't have insurance numbers. Local government, our software stuff just started coming in today, and yesterday. So there's a lot of numbers that are gonna be missing, that we will fill in, which is not unheard of. I've estimated the cost of the health insurance to go up 10%, we've seen it be less than that, we've seen it be more than that, unfortunately. So there's a lot online, this is just the first glance at what the department has, in the areas that they do know that this is what I'm gonna need to operate my officer department for this year. So, I don't wanna spend a ton of time on them, I'd like to just kind of flip through them, see if you guys have any questions, point out maybe anything that is a significant increase. And if at any time we need to stop and have a discussion, we can. Does that work for everybody?
Good, everybody else good with that? Good. Okay. All right, get started.
So the first one is going to be the county commission. You can see that there's an increase there, so that's going to be the first one. That increase is for the finance committee to start having meetings again. That budget was cut so that we only have them here and there or as needed. So that means we've talked about that in the past, and there's a little bit more further down that we'll talk about with the finance committee needing to meet and needing to do what they're established to do. So we'll need more funds if you guys are gonna actually be meeting more often. Health insurance, that's the 10%. There's really not another major increase, but something I did wanna point out to you all. On the legal notices 332, that we just talked about increasing, when you look at that, you see that I did not increase it, I in fact decreased it. The reason that I'm gonna do that is because we're gonna move, the money that we've been using for the tax sale advertisement has been coming out of this, because we didn't have another place to put it. So this year, the clerk and master's office has taken responsibility for that ad, and I stepped back because they know what it should look like and how it should be. So this money is one, you're gonna see it increase in that budget. So I just moved it from one budget to the other, from the responsible department, or to the responsible department. Just want to pull that out. Are there any questions on that one?
Let me ask something on commission before we go to another department. In some counties, the Southeast Development District does a planning retreat where all the commissioners and elected officials and department heads come in over 2 days, and they'll do 5-year plan, 10-year plan, and they host it. Not a real cost to it, other than maybe if we got together, we might have a meal brought in, because they're kind of done late in the evening. But do you think the commission will be interested in department heads and doing that for the long range, since we're gonna have a commission, or just not?
I thought that was a great idea the first time it was brought up.
Yeah, it's gotten squashed. A lot of counties do it, and the development district hosts them for many of the other counties in our district, but they typically have them in a venue, not the courthouse, just so everybody's a little more relaxed, and they do it like over 2 evenings, and, like the sheriff would speak where he'd like to be in 5 to 10 years, and any office holder, and it kinda gets you a long-range game plan, so things don't just sneak up on you. And it's a real relaxed atmosphere, but I don't know what the exact cost would be, but I know the development district doesn't typically charge to host it. It would just be however much we want
but this would be after the election, right?
We can do it whenever we want, absolutely. But it's budget time, so if it's something you all thought the commission might be interested in doing, then I can get more information on it, but it would probably just be whatever a meal would cost, or maybe 2 meals if we done it over 2 evenings.
Didn't they used to have it in down there, hotels right there on 60, where you get the interstate going into Cleveland?
Probably.
I went to 2 or 3 of them down there years ago. Pretty important though, I mean.
We could do it somewhere like BDC, because they've got a meeting room with a little area where some food could be brought in, and they could kind of break off into little groups, and it's something that's, I don't know, I've been in them for different agencies, but I think, if you think it would be something, we could ask the commission, if not, we'll just kill it right here.
No, that's, make a motion, that's.
Okay. Well then, Leslie, I'll get with you on what it might be for a couple of meals, but I think we could easily put a little money in there that I could ask the development district. Yeah.
So is it gonna be more than one?
I think so, they usually have one session, and then they come back and meet again. So I know it takes place over at least 2 days, maybe 2 and a
So the
half.
county's only responsible for a meal if you decide to provide one, but not the venue? I mean, I understand that
Unless,
BDC
well,
might.
BDC would charge us for the venue, but what I'm pretty sure is the development district doesn't charge us to do them because we pay dues for that. It would just be for a meal or 2
We
if
do
we do
have
it.
already budgeted $5,000 for other contracted services in that county commission line, and then $800 for other supplies and materials, and then this year, for, future plans, since it's an election year, I put $1,000 back in travel, we zeroed that out, but, new commissioners are
that's
required to do
true.
that travel.
I forgot to talk to you
So,
about that.
depending on the cost, there's really not anything to ask for additional on the budget. You would just,
We'll just see if
whenever
the
you get
commission then,
prepared, we can
some
do it.
is interested in doing it, if they are, we'll schedule it for later on in the year.
I think that's a good idea.
You have a section on your agenda for notes too. I would recommend you guys, anything you think of that you want to take or ask or do further in the budget would be a good place for that. Okay, Board of Equalization, this one is village. There's not a lot of changes there. Geographical, that's the mapping. There's no changes there. But on the Board of Equalization, he did increase, on the meetings and of course on the legal notices. The meetings that has to do with the reappraisal year, and he anticipates, this current year's reappraisal, so you may see him, asking for more money this year, budgeting in the next few months, so be prepared for that. But he wants to increase that for the future meetings that they're gonna have, since they're gonna have more than one, and he only budgets for one meeting a year. And that may increase, but that's what that increase is. Eddie, yours is next. Do you want to address anything on that, or you want me to keep going?
No, I don't think there was anything that I recall from us meeting. Are you talking about county buildings or?
No, yours, the mayor's
No,
salary.
I don't have anything. I don't think there was anything substantial changing on it.
We are gonna change from maintenance, or from dues and, maintenance agreements to other contracted services, so that's not, we're gonna move 01 out and move it down, so it's not an additional amount. It's just, we felt like other contracted services would serve better than maintenance agreements.
And my admin is going to be jumping on her health insurance. She's been on her dad's plan. She's having to jump on her health insurance because she's aging out. So we've had to put a little more money under, employee insurance. I think that's about the only thing that really got changed significantly.
What was was that a 3% increase that everybody's asking for this year?
Well, there's gonna be differences. I did tell the department heads, you guys saw those instructions on the email, pretty detailed about how they could do that, but, he has put 3% outside the other. So each one should have the percentage they asked for at the time. good enough. When we have an election, she has to raise it, but she does lower it on the in-betweens, and she's here. Did you want to speak to anything, or just be here available for questions?
I'm here available for questions.
Oh, come on.
Are there any questions for Judy? Register, these are mostly in order, there may be a few that jump around. There's no significant increases here, other than some office supplies, travel, and some of that we actually just moved around. There's no other significant increase in the budget, we just took money from where it wasn't necessarily being utilized in the budget, put it where we were running short at the end of the budget year. It is, and she is here. Did you want to address or just be available for questions?
I'm just here.
Anybody have any questions for Heidi? Planning and zoning. There was a small amount of increases here over the last few, actually probably about the last two budget years. We run pretty short at the end of the year, or we have to, add money more than once to make up a difference. So, there's just a little bit of increase there. One's gonna be in legal notices. We do plan to, hopefully get most of the offices over to the lesser expensive newspaper option. It's not something that is mandatory or can be mandatory. But it's still new, so we will move that way. But you'll probably still notice that legal notices will increase a little bit on most people, just because that's what we expect to happen.
Question mark for dues and membership. Got a question mark for dues and membership.
This is actually a software that they use there, and it did go up for many years, and I think it was 2 years ago the first time it went up. We don't know if it's expected to go up again.
Okay.
Now, this budget's going to be John's budget now, and so did you want to address or be available for questions?
Can I just give anybody else? I'm here because the email said be here. If you have any questions,
You said you can be here.
but like I said, that's for Southeast software, then the two rezones, $122.43 each.
How much?
$122.43 each.
$750 kind of seems like to me for a year.
High.
Like.
Top line. Yeah, we've moved to travel and other things before.
Okay.
And if we go to Chattanooga, Knoxville, hopefully it'll be a little cheaper.
Okay.
We did add a refund line on there. Y'all have seen that before on these, just because we've had to do a budget amendment, and so then it'll show on that. We're kind of just budgeting for that now. There's no sense, just put it in there. If there's not one needed, that's fine. If there is one needed, then it's right there. Okay, county buildings, 51,800.
I'm just reading, I was reading it, it's already written, what is this, it's janitorial services, but I was just reading.
That is, that's okay, I'm just making sure. That, was for the cleaning of the building. That was, it is noted on there, yeah. There's not a significant increase in those. There's not a percentage out there though, Eddie, do you know what that percentage was?
3%, sorry.
That was for the part-time personnel.
Yes. And she's right, when it comes to building maintenance, we'll have a year that, this year's looking really good, knock on wood, but we could have 4 or 5 HVAC units go out at $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a piece, and you just can't hardly, it's just taking a gamble basically, but so far, we're doing okay.
What is the state increase for elected officials this year, we know?
They do not give a specific increase, they say they can't go over 5%, but the amount for the elected officials are filled in, so we do have those.
Okay.
They got those early, yes, the elected officials. Also wanted to let you know, as we continue with the budget, we talked about this before, there's gonna be areas where you start seeing some changes, like where utilities is actually broken into, electricity, gas, and water, with, I think with elections, we might look at clerical personnel, that can be switched to deputy, those aren't gonna be new funds or anything, one will be zeroed out, one will be, and go into the correct line. So, we've got a lot of department heads, as well as myself, who are, you know, just looking at the budget that we inherited, and we've been working on it for a little bit, and there's some changes, there's new, chart of account codes and stuff like that, and we wanna make those small changes that make it accurate, so. There any,
Like water bills is another good one. We can have a water leak down at one of Tony's places, and it's probably going to, you know,
Sometimes it gets,
yeah, or
Never
electric.
have one right
If we could break off utilities a little closer to each department, it kind of helps us track where there's problems and where we might be able to make changes. And when you just get one big bill, it's really hard to figure out, you know, if something's wrong.
52,100, this is not, there's not a significant change, anything, the estimates are there. Local government, I actually estimated them going at 5%, I got that bill in just right before this meeting, I'm only off by just a little bit, so it's pretty close.
And that's the only agreement you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I see you've got maintenance agreements and then other contracted services too. On the last one, didn't we move maintenance agreements to other contracted services?
Not in mine. We haven't made any changes like that in mine, but so other contracted services is like when I have W-2s printed and stuff.
Gotcha.
Maintenance agreement has to do with my software support and my contract with,
My maintenance agreement, Zach, was a maintenance agreement I put in on the coffee machine.
Okay.
Because it was getting a lot of miles on it, or copies, and the person that comes to work on it suggested we get a maintenance. Well, he estimated it at $1,400 a year, so that's what I asked. We went through that money in 6 months.
Wow.
So we jumped off of the maintenance plan, and now I'm just going back to the way we do business. When it gets broke, I call him and he fixes it, because
And that's been,
that's what we're gonna do next year. Yeah, it's just,
move on to property assessor and reappraisal program, both of these are from village. His percentages are out there, there's a few minor increases, actually more moving money around, if you'll notice there with office supplies and other supplies and materials, just able to move that around. One he uses, significantly less than the other, and they're kind of interchangeable, so we just budgeted a little more appropriately for that. And there's been some increases on the travel. Any questions there? 52,400, that's the trustee's office. There's not a significant increase here, it's gonna be maintenance agreements, which is the same thing, she has local government software, and they do tend to go up by a small percentage each year. And Stacy's here, did you wanna speak or just be available for questions?
I'm just available for questions.
Anybody have any questions? Nobody wants to speak, there's a dog here. You can ask me a
Jane, we're banking on
I
you to say.
bet Jackie's gonna say something.
And Tony.
She's got her phone, she's ready.
The finance committee's a lot easier to speak to than the full commission guys, so I can talk to them. Okay, county clerk's office, 500, Ms. Jane.
For everything, anything wrong with the business.
Where you going?
Much pretty easy, the only thing that I'm like everybody else, maintenance and repairs, we have a lot of equipment down there. Bumping it up 3,000, I'm very fortunate I can fall back on reserve and not cost the county anything. Anybody have any questions? Please, ask me a question. Good question.
Okay, 53,100 is circuit court, same thing. I mean, you guys are gonna see as we go through, there's really not a significant increase anywhere that's not necessary, if it's what they're gonna need to operate.
Brady texted Cody, but.
Yeah, coming up.
Next, Gary Kelly.
I was very confident in my own abilities, thank you.
Daryl,
Yes,
would you like to speak, or are you just here to answer questions?
answer questions.
Anybody have any questions, Daryl?
Where's this probably will go up? What's that?
Dues and membership and maintenance agreement goes up every year. Dues and membership's probably $100 maybe or something like that, but I actually turned that into Leslie today, the maintenance came in yesterday.
Yeah, I got mine today too, so.
So that's a little.
It did go up,
Almost
$12,000.
Gotcha. Thank you.
This is general session. We do not have, since you asked, we do not have the judge's salary yet, we're still waiting on that. So that's just kind of put in there as a value for now. And I believe that percentage was 7%. Change report, same thing. The elected officials there, there's not a lot of increase, we did, they have local government too. Most of them have local government, package, software package from them, so.
On the sessions court real quick, what was the employee increase in probation officer?
I believe that's 7. Darryl, do you remember what Casey said, was it 7?
Yeah.
Sheriff's Department. The, salary for the sheriff, that's correct according to the state paperwork. There's 7% there. The significant increase on this one is just gonna be for the additional car, that it's just budgeted from one is to budget for 2 this year. Brian?
And that's where, past, 4 years, we've been buying 2 each year, but one of them's come out of impact money. And so that's right up, so just trying to move both to the or to the budget line.
Yeah, this should be our last year getting TDA. The next budget is Brian Phillips, the drug enforcement, other than the 7%, there's no increase, that's just where we had it.
No, there's
Next one is the jail. Not a lot of increases there as far as operation cost. We'll put in the employee insurance, unemployment compensation, we'll say about this. Anything on that?
no.
Is there any questions on that?
Uniforms dropped $56,000. What's, is that, you get?
Uniforms are usually less, if you look at the 24-25 actual in the jail budget,
Is that the uniforms in the jail?
for the jail.
They dropped 56,000.
Well, for some reason, we had a lot budgeted, but there's not typically been a lot spent.
58,656 and.
No, they spent about Leslie.
It's either gonna be a typo in the budget worksheet, or there was money moved there in order to replace something, and I don't remember a significant
I
amount of
don't
that.
remember
They
anything like
usually
that.
do pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm gonna assume the 25-26 part is a typo in the worksheet.
Anyways, I'm sorry, on the jail administrator, it says 7%. Last year it's 50,682, and this year it's 62, that's more than 7%.
7% is on your guards and other salaries and wages.
Okay, I didn't know,
Yeah.
beside the jail administrator, that's what we're running.
There's a start department, and that has to do with the pay scale for the jail director and 911 director.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out where we're.
We just try to keep them two, man.
I got you, I was just trying to figure out, because I know it's 7%, I was like, wait a minute, James is on.
The math, what math?
Yeah, the math, look, the math thing.
Okay, so the next one is the juvenile services. There's not a lot of change in this one. The only thing that has changed is other contracted services, and that is for software support. We got an email that they're going up on that, so we're just trying to raise it. The next one is fire prevention and control. Behind that is civil defense and rescue squad. So those are all Tony's, and he is here today. You want to talk, or you here for questions?
We open the question, I did raise our uniforms, this is because of the turnout gear and the expense those are costing us, so I've added another 5 to it. And, what hurts us there is that all of this protective clothing is made overseas. So I can't dodge that bullet of the increase. And also, a few years ago, they placed a 10-year lifespan on this equipment, so we have to retire it a little quicker than we used to years ago, so that's a little added expense. Other than that, the only question I have is the 51800 line, and the 335 line that goes to building maintenance. In 2011, the finance department took building maintenance from my budget, and we've been band-aiding around and doing pretty good, so I don't really have a building maintenance line. And the question I have, you want me to continue to do business without a building maintenance line, or you want me to use 51800 line as maintenance occurs, because I do have some little snarls here and there we run across, and here's a plus of all this. Your maintenance guy, he has really, really taken care of us, and unfortunately, it's like a bump in your front tire. If it's out of balance, then you want it balanced, and then maybe it's chopped it up, you replace it with a tire, and then so on and so forth. So we've got a lot of stuff fixed, but there's still a few things we need to address. So without a maintenance line item, I've been buying toilet seat lids, pipe, plumbing supplies, and all this out of vehicle maintenance at the local hardware store. And that's not fun for the auditor. She knew I was doing it. That's Leslie Brewer and not mine. So that's the only way I've got to do business. So I'm just kind of tossing that out. If you want to put a line in my budget for maintenance, for buildings, or you want me to continue to dip more into 51800. County building maintenance. And that's about it. When you flip over to the next page, I think it's rescue, we had no increases. We did a big adjustment with EMS, and I again appreciate what you folks did for our crew. We're fully staffed, except for one spot. Whatever you approve on percentage increase this year will be fine with me. Bumped up vehicle maintenance. Vehicle maintenance is something that constantly grows. And, the other contracted services, that's a percentage of billing that we collect. So that's kind of the unknown factor. I think we adjusted. You brought the civil defense only adjustment there. We did receive a new contract last year with EPA to continue to do business for the next 5 years. And then the other $499 is the grant amount that we receive annually through Homeland Security. So, kind of what happens there. I wish I could really give you some money on
the jail has their own building maintenance. But Tony's got 6 fire stations plus the EOC, so you're talking about 7 buildings, and it's coming out of the same big pot. But if you would rather have a building maintenance line item for Tony's emergency services, I guess we could add it. I just don't know what to put
And then
in.
you have budget for, like, the ambulance department, and then you've got rescue and fire, and so because there's different line items in budget, so you don't have one big building maintenance that's gonna do all of them, you'll have to break it out. And if they decided to do that, which is not a problem, but some of that would have to come out of 51,800 and move into the county budget, so we're not, we can't add those.
And
And they
my
are county
suggestion,
buildings.
and my suggestion would be put it in fire prevention, because this is the bigger budget, and all of the rescue services comes out of the same buildings. The Emergency Operations Center, the EOC, I actually use my TVA maintenance funds to keep some of that up and going. So if I have big projects there, I've been using my TVA dollars to service that building. Of course, it's an allowable expense, that thing. TVA provides us so much money annually to make sure that that facility is up and running, and make sure there is a director there and all the other that goes with it in order to keep that plant licensed. So that's not a problem. It's those other 6 buildings that since 2011, they're getting a little wear and tear, but the good thing is that your maintenance guy has done a lot of preventative stuff. And God only knows how many water leaks he caught. And Leslie can tell you this, we'll have a leak down there for 2 to 3 weeks before anybody catches it. And it may show up on a rainy season as an extra mud hole that we just don't see it, because we don't occupy those buildings like we do this facility here. So it's whatever you guys want to do. I just had to, having to do some rewiring soon that's coming up, so that's a pretty nice little expense, but, if you tell me what you wanna do, I'm fine with that. I don't mind to use, 51,800 line as a general blanket, or if you wanna put some of that over into my fire prevention line, that'd pretty well soften the blow across the board.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. What's the pleasure of the finance committee on that? What would you guys like to do? Or we could talk about that at a later date?
I would think so, because we've got about 15 minutes left before the planning and zoning, so we need to get on through them, because this is
Tell me what you
actually.
really do.
I tell you what,
Anyway,
it don't matter to me, just write the purchase order, but if you do start me out with something, I'd like to request $10,000 of that over to manage my 6 stations. That'd give you a starting point. That's probably more than I'll need, but like I say, we're fixing stuff. And I've got some doors that's leaking air, need some seals, so we've got more stuff we can really tighten up on and save you money and fix some more problems. So,
$10 grand.
Well, thank you very much, Coach.
you're welcome.
Yep, all right.
Let's get to these others. 54,900 is the 911 department, 7% there, there's not another increase, and we are gonna continue to not budget for communications or other costs there. It's not good. Next one is 55,130, and I just spoke to those. Senior center, we do not have a lot of increases there. It's gonna be a little bit maintenance agreement, and the 7%. I am also planning to move all utilities for the senior center out of 51,800 and into the senior center, only because we turn in a grant amount every month, and so we have to dig them out of 51,800 amongst all the others that we pay. So look for that in the future. The library department, there's not a lot of increases here. I do want to cover something real quick with the finance committee, just because you are commissioners, and this is something that's part of the workshop, so I thought it might be able to shed some light on it for next week. We did a budget amendment recently as a commission to move some money back into the library, and that was in order to save the maintenance of effort. You guys might remember that. With it being the maintenance of effort, it's required, we can't cut the budget any, so we just put that extra money in the office So when you get to the workshop, there's gonna be a letter from the library board requesting that we move that money into the librarian's payroll. Not additional funds, not on top of it, it's what we moved into office supplies that we have to have in there. They said it would better suit them in the library payroll line because they are finding a new librarian and they would like to have that payroll raised a little bit. So that's nothing that we need to address here, but I just wanted to shed some light on it real quick, just so you might have some understanding at the commission meeting. Jessica, did you have anything else for that, on board, or?
Thank you so much.
The rest of these, we're gonna have the parks and fair board, those are not changing, appropriations to the state, those are not changing, and the county portion of the health department budget, those are, we don't have any significant changes in that. We do not have 55-190 in this packet, because I'm currently still working with the state to get that budget tightened up. I actually was working on it with them before I came up here. So that will be, at later budget meetings. So keep in mind, this is the first glance at worksheets. We've got many more budget meetings and decision, meetings to go. Soil conservation, I received nothing from the state or federal saying that we're gonna change that one, so we're staying the same. 58-110 and 58-190, these are all grant dependent, so that's why there's nothing there. It's either gonna be grant balances from this year or new grants. We'll get those numbers later. Sanitation management, this is the payroll side, so this is in 101. There's a 3% there, no other increases. 55-720 down below, it's sanitation education. This is the CDOT grant, so this is, we don't have authority to change that. 56-900, this one looks a little confusing. However, this is for the Cherokee Park. The reason that it looks this way is because there's an idea that we will not budget for it because the state's supposed to take it. So, my things on that, and Eddie and I talked about this and met about this, you see that I've got a note here and I have another sheet that says it. We can't not fund this park until the state makes it official. So just because they say by the end of June, they're gonna have it and they're gonna be doing that. If they have it before we pass this budget, we can zero this stuff out, but if by the time we pass the budget, the state has not officially taken that park, we have to budget for it, we can't.
Have we had any word in any of that, or?
They're working on it.
Emails,
Okay.
stuff.
Now, once we get that situated out a little bit, we're gonna work that budget out, because we have to use that hotel motel tax for park, it's still gonna be a park. So probably the cleaning of the buildings down there and all that's gonna move into the park line, because that is, you guys did designate that as a park. So you're gonna see some changes with that, but we're still waiting on the state right now to make significant changes.
I think it's smart to keep budgeting it.
Yeah, well, you can, because when you have payroll in there, as long as we're still having to do payroll, we have to have budget for it, so. Okay, 57-100, this is the ag extension, this comes from UT, so it's just part of the contractual agreement. Veteran services, we do not have a lot of increases in there, that's the office is open 1 day a week. Other charges, opioid funds, we've got the amount that we will be able to spend this year, what should be coming in, that's gonna come in the spring of next budget year. Fuel liability insurance, workers' comp insurance, I've actually estimated those at 10%. I will not get those until the 11th hour, right before the budget passes. I will get that bill and know exactly what it is. Contributions has, I've not had any new requests or any reasons to make any changes beyond what we have asked for. Same with the county attorney. Other contracts are the county coroner medical examiner, I went up to 45,000. We'll see how, if that continues. Moves us into 116 sanitation fund. We do not have anything in other contracted services yet, but it is ranging anywhere from $27,000 to $29,000 a month, just in the hall bill. It's not including any of the other contracted services, so we're gonna see what that looks like. And as y'all know, we actually, literally ran out of money in that fund this year. 122, Brian stepped out, but this is the drug fund, he's made 0 changes in that, there rarely are any changes. Next is 131, this is the highway department. This one, when you study it out, it'll be a little bit different because they're doing some of the same things that I told you other department heads are. So instead of a foreman getting paid out of an assistant line, you're actually moving that money down to a designated foreman line. They're trying to tighten all that up and get everybody paid out of appropriate state provided lines. We do not have the amount of state aid in yet, so those will also come a little bit later. Are there any questions on any of the ones that we ran through? I know we went through them kind of quick, but I mean, that was kind of the process for tonight since it's the first glance.
Move on to number 7, vendor list for the county.
Yes, so this one I can make quick. I keep having different companies and businesses that will call my office and ask what the process is for getting on the vendor list for the county. We do not have a vendor list for the county. I'm not positive how that works, and I'm not sure how that would benefit us. But it's just something that I wanted to put out there for you guys to be thinking about, potentially at the next finance committee meeting. I might be able to put a little bit more time to it. Maybe look at that, research a little bit, and see what other counties are doing, and see if that's something that'll benefit, something where we have a list that we can automatically call. I don't know if it'll be faster, I don't know if it'll do anything good. Vendor registry is no longer free, they have been bought out, but that's about to be canceled, so it's gonna be several $1,000s a year, and we don't need to do that. No, kind of ridiculous, so there's no action there.
And moving on to number 8,
Okay, so I just wanted to clear this up because some of y'all have been asking me about the voting meetings, the workshop, and these. So just to clear the air, it's not a requirement for me to be at the workshop and the voting meetings. It's a requirement for me to have finance committee meetings with you all, and then you are educated enough to answer other commissioners' questions at the workshop. There are gonna be workshops that are appropriate for me to be at because they're gonna be discussions, you know, if it's finances, if it's funding, if it's whatever, I will most definitely be there. But I
On
just,
your job description.
well, in the past, the director has been at all of them, and so it's just something that used to be seen, and I did come to a lot of them myself. I just wanted to say, there's not a problem, there's not an issue, not mad at anybody. I'm just trying to line things up so that we're doing them by our policies and by our acts that we have for the county. But there will definitely be appropriate times for you all to ask me to be at the workshop to address something specific. But I don't think monthly budget amendments are one of them. I think that you all should know about budget amendments. Rick? Any questions on that, and are you gonna say any concerns?
well, we're having more finance committee.
We are, yes, we're getting back to that. I think there was kind of just an unspoken agreement that if the finance director can come to all of them, we could not have as many finance committee meetings and just move things along that way. But it's just not, it's not how our policy states, it's not how our policy states. So I would just like to do things by the book, it makes me feel better to do it.
I'd prefer to do them on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock, that way when we get into the budget, we don't sit here for an hour and a half and go over the budget, and then sit there at 7 and go over it again for another hour and a half.
Well, and when we get into the budget process, there's a lot more responsibility to the finance committee than there has been in a little bit. And so with this one being rushed like it was, but we will have meetings where that's all we discuss, however long it takes for the finance committee.
But I would rather do it,
I'll get it. So what you say?
I don't really, it's really hard to sit up there for, let's say we have it on Thursday, it's 5:30, and we go over the budget, and then we sit here again for another hour and a half and go over it with the rest of the commission, the same exact stuff we went through.
Well, the second Tuesday's not working.
So we can figure that out.
So, yeah, so one committee changed their time, so now we're pushing in here, I don't know, 4 o'clock is gonna be hard for you guys, so we also need to work on that, we're thinking maybe Mondays at 5 o'clock, or
Any time's better than the 2 hours before, sit there.
we do not wanna do it before the workshop, because every time we try to do it before the workshop, that we have other people come in, we walk right into it. The committee members during the meeting, we start talking to them, we just can't have it right before workshop.
All right, moving on to 9, I know we're running out of time.
We're running out of time, this is the last one. Number 9, just informational, this year it's time to renew the county coroner contract. have worked with the girls, and we have a, formal request for qualifications and proposals drawn up, and we will probably be putting that up next month, and you'll see it on the commission meeting probably in April. That contract runs out in June, so we just need to have it done then. And this is just me letting you guys know what's going on this time.
All right, thank you guys very much.
Make a motion to adjourn.